You ever wonder if there's like one single idea that could unlock everything? A kind of master key to wisdom? Well, today we're diving into a concept from an ancient Buddhist text that claims to be exactly that.
What we're looking at here is the Prajñāpāramitā Sutra in 50 lines. Now, Prajñāpāramitā, that means the perfection of wisdom, and this text, while it's short, is incredibly dense. It contains a teaching that's presented as the most direct path to enlightenment. That's a pretty bold claim, right? So let's dive in and see how it all unfolds.
Okay, so to really get this teaching, you gotta picture the scene. This wasn't just some casual lecture. The text describes a moment of immense spiritual importance.
So imagine this. The Buddha is on a mountain called Vulture Peak, and he's surrounded by more than 1,000 of his most accomplished disciples. The text says they'd exhausted all defilements and attained mastery. I mean, this is not your beginner's class. He's speaking to the absolute A-team, the spiritual elite.
And right at the start, he makes this incredible promise. He tells this assembly of masters that by truly hearing, reading, and getting this one specific teaching, the perfection of wisdom, they'll achieve the ultimate goal, and they'll do it swiftly.
But what's really wild here is just the sheer scope of this claim. The Buddha isn't just offering a new piece of advice. He's saying that this single concept, this perfection of wisdom, basically contains all the other teachings. It's like everything gets folded into this one idea, suggesting that all the different practices are really just different doors leading into the very same room.
So you can imagine, right? A statement that big is going to raise some questions. And thankfully, one of the Buddha's most senior disciples, a monk named Subhūti, asks the very question that's probably on everyone's mind.
Subhūti basically pipes up and asks, wait a minute, how is that even possible? How can things that seem so totally different, like the simple act of giving charity, these complex states of meditation, and the final goal of enlightenment, how can they all be gathered up and considered the same thing? It's a fantastic question.
And the Buddha's response, well, it's not some simple one-liner. Instead, he starts to unpack it. He begins listing everything that's included inside the perfection of wisdom. It's kind of like opening a treasure chest and realizing it contains every other treasure you could possibly think of.
So first he starts with the basics, the foundational stuff called the 6 perfections, things like giving, patience, meditation. But then right away he connects them to these really deep philosophical concepts, like the many forms of emptiness, which in this context basically means that things don't have a fixed separate existence. The practical and the philosophical are already being woven together. And the list just keeps going, covering the core frameworks of the entire Buddhist path. He throws in the Four Noble Truths, which is like the basic diagnosis of reality, and the Eightfold Path, which is the cure. But he also includes the final destination, the unique powers of a fully enlightened Buddha, and all the different stages you pass through to get there. So you see what he's doing? The map, the path, and the destination, they're all somehow wrapped up in this one wisdom.
And then he brings it all home with this powerful statement. He says that all these concepts, all these good dharmas, which just means positive qualities and teachings, they're not just connected, they are gathered as one, totally equal, with no real difference between them. So an act of kindness and a moment of deep insight, they aren't just related. The text says they're basically the same thing, just seen from a different perspective. That's a huge idea.
Okay, so if your head's spinning a little bit right now, don't worry, you're in really good company. Even the enlightened monks there found this concept incredibly challenging to wrap their minds around.
After hearing all this, even Subhūti admits, wow, this is really profound. It's deep, and it's tough to get your head around. And this is a really important moment because it basically validates how difficult the idea is for everyone, even for the pros.
And the Buddha's like, yeah, you're right, it is. And then he lays out who's actually ready for this kind of teaching. He sets up this really sharp contrast. He says the lazy, the dull-witted, or those who are just happy with a smaller spiritual goal, they're going to struggle. But the diligent, the wise, and those who have the biggest aspiration possible to achieve supreme enlightenment for everyone, they're the ones who can get it. So it's not just about being smart, right? It's really about how deep your motivation is and how much effort you're willing to put in.
So you might be thinking, if this is so hard to grasp, why even bother? Well, the last part of the text makes it crystal clear why the reward is, well, it's unparalleled.
I mean, listen to this. This is a truly staggering statement. The Buddha says that just to engage with this text, to enjoy it, listen to it, recite it, that simple act is equivalent to upholding the wisdom of every single enlightened being that has ever existed or ever will exist. The value placed on this one teaching is just absolute.
And that's pretty much where the sermon wraps up. We're told that everyone there, not just the monks, but even the gods and all the other beings in the crowd, they got it. They were filled with joy and they took this profound teaching to heart, ready to put it into practice. The wisdom was successfully passed on.
And so that's where we're left, right on the edge of this deep philosophical ocean. The text lays it all out, but it leaves us with this final, lingering question. What would it actually feel like to perceive the world this way? To see a simple act of kindness, a flash of insight, and the highest state of being not as separate things, but just as different facets of one single brilliant diamond. That, right there, is the challenge and the invitation of the perfection of wisdom.